my bed to tell a little story today. I have my wine because it's kind of a hard story to tell. This is going to be a story about the time I literally almost died. I know that sounds so dramatic, like, oh, yeah, okay, you probably didn't actually almost die, but, like, I literally almost died. Like, I'm so lucky to be alive right now. I'm lucky to not only be alive, but, like, have not that much, to have not the worst complications I could have. I still have complications to this day because of this, but it could be worse. I could have lost my limbs. I could have lost, you know, a sense or something. So I'm lucky that I'm not only alive, but that I had the lesser. So now I'm going to tell you the story of how I had meningitis in college. And it was probably the scariest time of my life. So it all started junior year of college. Classes like just started, and I like wasn't feeling the best. And I remember I started not feeling so good. All my roommates were like having a party and drinking and stuff. I was like, I'm not feeling so good. I don't think I should. And they're like, no, like, alcohol makes you feel better. They were like, it's good for you. It kills all the bacteria or whatever. And I was like, I'll have a drink. And so I had one drink and I was like, oh, I can't do this. I don't feel good, which, you know, I don't turn down a drink. So I was like, I don't feel good. Like, I couldn't really tell you how I felt. I just felt like I was getting a cold or something. Like, that's how I felt. So a couple days later, we have sorority recruitment, which is like the biggest time for sororities. Like, huge. That's where we meet all the girls that come in, and we, you know, have we get new girls or whatever. And it is the biggest time. Like, you cannot miss for anything. Like, it's so important. So we're doing recruitment. It's like probably I don't really remember, but I think it was the first day of recruitment. And I go through a few rounds, so I talk to a few girls, and then I just feel myself just like, I just feel horrible. So I go back behind the curtains, and I'm talking to my president, I think at the time, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't feel good. I can't do this. I can barely stand up. I feel like I'm going to pass out. I can't do this. It was like August, so it was like 100 degrees outside, and I was shivering. I was so cold. They found some curtains to cover me up with. I was like, I can't do this. I don't feel good. And the president was like, okay, well, I'm going to take you to the urgent care. The health insurance I was on was on my dad's health insurance at the time. And I know that he always told me to go to the emergency room, not to go to urgent care. Which I know, like, a lot of people are like, you shouldn't go to the emergency room for things. But, like, I should have gone to the emergency room for this. But he was like, go to the emergency room, don't go to urgent care. It costs less to go to the emergency room. I don't know why, but I was like, okay. So I go to the emergency room. And pretty sure my president was the one that took me. We go to the emergency room, they take tests or will do whatever they do, and they're like, oh, you just have like a viral infection or something, you're fine, you're good. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I don't feel like it's just like a cold or whatever. And they're like, yeah, it's just a viral infection, you're fine, go home. And I was like, okay, you're the doctor. So I go home that night, I go to bed, I wake up the next day, and I have this headache that's just throbbing. And I don't really have headaches, so I was like, okay, this is weird, but okay. So it hurts so bad, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to sleep, and then when I wake up, it should be better. Probably took some Tylenol or something, and I was like, when I wake up, it'll be better, whatever. So I wake up, and it's worse. Like, I was like in so much pain that I was like throwing up. I like couldn't stand up, I could barely see. Like, it was the worst pain I've ever been in. And I was like, something's not right. I've never been in this much pain. Like, this is not okay. So I tell my roommate, I'm like, I need to go to the emergency room. This is not something's not right. I can just tell, like, something's not right. So she had to, like, help me get changed and stuff because I was in my pajamas. She had to, like, help me get changed because I could barely move. She takes me to the emergency room. And I remember going back. I remember they were so full that they just had, like, beds and, like, curtains in between everyone. I remember that. And I remember going back into the bed, and I remember crying because I was in so much pain. And I remember asking the nurse, like, just put me out. Like, I'm in so much pain. Like, can you just put me out? And she was like, I can't do that. And then that's all I remember after that. Don't remember anything else. From what I've heard, I know my roommate was there, and I think, could be wrong because I was not there. I mean, mentally I was not there. I think they switched out. I think my other roommate came in and they switched out because one had to go to class. I don't remember. But I know so they said I threw up. Don't remember that. They said, I got a spinal tap. Don't remember that. I got x-rayed and MRI'd and stuff. Don't remember that. I vaguely remember them trying to ask me questions and I couldn't form words. Like, they were asking me, like, my name, what's your name, what's your, like, what's your birthday, what year is it, stuff like that, and I could not, I just couldn't form words. And if I could just say my birthday and that was it. They'd be like, what's your name? And I'd be like, 11/3/93. Like, I just physically couldn't, I don't know, it was so scary. I just couldn't say words. And then I remember waking up in an ambulance, just because it was, like, moving around. I was, like, moving, and I was like, what is going on? And then I blacked out again. And then, but apparently I was in Richmond at the time at school at EKU, and they took me into an ambulance and took me to Lexington, Kentucky, because that's the biggest city, the closest biggest city they have. So I don't remember going into the ambulance. I don't remember going, woke up in the ambulance once, but I don't know what was happening. And then, they transferred me to Lexington. The next thing I knew, I woke up and I was in the ICU. I was in one of those rooms that has glass all around it. And there was, like, I want to say, like, 5 or 6 nurses around me. And I was so confused. I had no idea where I was. I didn't know, like, 12 hours that happened in my life. And I woke up and my dad was there. And I was like, where am I? Why is my dad here? Why are all these nurses around me? I was so confused. And, like, I know usually when stuff happens, my stepmom will come down. Like, when I've had some medical issues at school and stuff, and my stepmom has come down. But, like, I was like, if my dad's here, like, I know that something serious is happening. And I was just so confused. I was hooked up to a bunch of stuff. I didn't know what was happening. And I remember the first thing I thought was, like, I'm missing class. I remember telling a nurse or something. I was like, what time is it? What time is it? Because it was the next day. I had no idea what time it was. I didn't know what was happening. I was like, what day and what time is it? And she told me, and I was like, I have class. And she was like, sweetheart, you're not going to class for a while. Like, you're going to be in this hospital for a while. And I was like, what is I was so confused. I was like, what is happening? And, I remember my dad was, like, holding my hand and, like, almost crying. And I was so confused. And the doctor came in and was like, sir, you shouldn't be touching her. And so he had to, like, back away. And I was like, what is happening? What is going on? I was so confused. And so they tell me, they were like, that I had bacterial meningitis. And I had no idea what that was. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I I've never heard of this. I don't know what it is. I know you have to get a shot for it, but that's all I know. And they explained to me that, you know, it's a deadly disease. There's viral and there's bacterial. Viral is not as bad, and the bacterial is the worst you can have. And they told me that I had bacterial and that it was really dangerous and that I was going to be in the hospital for a while. And I remember when I was in the ICU in like the glass room, I remember my legs looked so weird. They had like, I don't really remember exactly, but they had like bumps. I don't remember if it was bumps or like, I think it was like I had bumps like all over my legs. And I was like, I don't know. It's something to do with that, but I don't know. But he told me that it was really dangerous and that I was like lucky to be alive, and they had to like check all my limbs and check like everything to make sure everything was working okay. And then they moved me to my like a different room, and my dad stayed with me for a little bit, but then he had to go back home. He had to go back to work. I remember I had a couple friends come and visit me when I was in the hospital, and I had to like put on like face masks or like those like medical masks and like gloves and stuff. When I had doctors come in, they like had to wear like big suits. But basically I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks, I want to say. And I just had doctors or nurses come in like every hour to check everything, give me IVs, check my blood, take my blood. They do everything. I remember having to go to the bathroom was like such a big hassle because I was hooked up to so many machines, and the bathroom was like a couple feet away, but I was hooked up to so many machines, and I had to like take the machines with me. And then like when I sat on the toilet, I had to like hold my arms out because I was hooked up to so many things, and the wires weren't as long. But I remember I was laying in the hospital bed one day, and I got an email from my school that was like, there's a student with a confirmed case of bacterial meningitis. And I was like, oh my god, that's me. I was like, that's so embarrassing. Everyone knows now I could cause a deadly disease in my college. But I don't think anyone else got it, so that's good. I didn't do a lot in the hospital. I slept for like pretty much the 2 weeks I was there. It was disgusting because I didn't shower. I just slept and watched TV. I didn't really eat much because the hospital food was not good. But yeah, I just stayed in the hospital so they could check everything. They could make sure I was okay, give me all kinds of medicines and stuff. And I remember at one time the Center for Disease Control had to come in and talk to me, and I was like, this is serious, like, dang. But like I said, I didn't do much in the hospital. I remember so many times where I'd just be sleeping, because that's all I did was just sleep, and they'd have to wake me up, take my blood, give me medicines to make sure I was okay, ask me questions, and I was like, I just want to sleep, leave me alone. But yeah, like I said, I think I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks, and then I remember the last day I had someone come in and they were like, we think you might be able to go home today. And I was like, finally, like, thank God. I want to go home. I want to sleep in my own bed. I want to, I just want to be out of this hospital. I was sick of it. And so they said, but the only way that you can leave is if we put a PICC line in your arm, which I was like, don't know what that is. And they were like, it is an IV that they put in your arm, and it goes to your heart. It goes through your veins to your heart, and then you just have this like wire hanging out of you, and you give yourself IVs a couple times a day. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know about that. Mind you, I am the kind of person that I will pass out every time I get blood work. Like, every time. I just hate it. I don't know what it is. It's just like the thought of like the feeling of it, the blood coming out, and just the thought, I just hate it so much. And I was getting blood work done like so many times a day when I was in the hospital, but I was also laying down and half asleep, so it didn't bother me very much. So when they told me this, I was like, don't think I can do this. I don't know about this. I don't think I can do this. So I called my mom. I think I called my stepmom, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. And she was like, you want to go home, don't you? You need to do this. You can do this. You're strong. You've literally beat meningitis. Like, you can do this. This is the least of your worries. You got this. And I was like, okay. Okay. So the lady comes in to do it, and I was like, girl, I'm nervous. I don't know if I can do this. This is scary. Like, a wire through my veins to my heart. I don't know. And she was like, listen, I've had little kids do this, and they were fine. You can do this. Like, you're tough. Like, she said, like, what my mom said, like, you've beat meningitis. You survived. You can do this. And I was like, okay. And she was, oh my God. I don't think I could have done it if it wasn't for this lady doing it. She talked me through everything. She talked about anything with me to distract me. Like, she was amazing. I remember, let me put this down. I remember she had this, like, iPad looking machine she put on my chest, and I guess it showed her, like, my veins and my heart and everything. And so she numbed my arm. Was it my left arm? I think it was my left arm. Or maybe it was right. I don't remember. She numbed my arm, and then she put the thing on my chest, and she was talking to me, and she was like, you know, don't look away. But she was just talking to me about life and stuff as she did it, and I didn't feel anything. And the way, like, she was talking to me, like, totally distracted me. Like, I didn't know she was doing anything. She put it in, did everything, and was like, okay, I'm done. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I'm done. I'll try to insert some pictures right here if you don't want to see that. It's not, like, gross or anything. It's just the IVs and the PICC line and stuff. I'll put that right here if you want to see that. It's right here. It'll be right here. If not, fast forward. But so she did it and was like, you're done. That was awesome. You did great. And I was like, I didn't feel a thing. She was like, exactly. I told you, you're strong. You can do this. I was like, oh my God. And so they came in. I had a lady come in and show me how to give myself IVs. She gave me, like, this IV pole, which my mom probably still has for some reason. Because I was like, you can use it as a coat rack or something. She gave me an IV pole, a huge thing of, like, IVs and, like, saline solution and stuff, and showed me how to do it. And she was like, call me anytime, call this number anytime, 24/7, and if you need help or anything, like, we got you. And so finally, I was able to leave the hospital. It's amazing. I called my roommate. She came and picked me up. I called a bunch of people. I was like, can someone come get me? So finally my roommate comes and gets me. I remember we had to stop at Kroger or something before we went back to my apartment because I needed like this sticky saran wrap, that, like, sticks, because I needed to wrap my arm before I showered, because, you know, I had a hole in my arm, basically. And so that first shower at home was amazing. Because, like I said, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, did not shower. I smelled so bad. My hair was disgusting. I was like, this shower is amazing. First thing I did after I showered, went to bed. Because even though I slept for 2 weeks, I just wanted to sleep in my own bed. That's all I wanted to do. So I had the PICC line in my arm, I think, for, I want to say I had it for about 2 weeks. I had to give myself IVs, I think, 2 or 3 times a day. I don't remember. I remember I had to put saline solution in it before I gave myself the IV, and that was weird. It was like, you know, saline solution. I put it in and I could like taste it. And I could feel it because it was cold. I could feel it go in, and that was a weird sensation. And then I could like taste it. And that was weird. But yeah, I gave myself IVs 2 or 3 times a day. I don't remember. And then once a week I had to go get my blood drawn. I had to go back to Lexington to get my blood drawn, which was not that bad with the PICC line in, because they just put the saline solution in and then just went and sucked the blood up. So that wasn't that bad. And then after 2 weeks, I went and got the IV out of my arm. Are in there, but got that out of my arm. That was scary because it was just like gross. And then I said in my last story time about how I met Josh that I still had the PICC line in my arm when I met him. So that was weird. But I'm still having like complications to this day from it. Ever since I had it, like I've had trouble sleeping. I can't sleep at night, and I'm sleepy throughout the day, and it doesn't matter how much I sleep. I could sleep 24 hours and I'm still so tired, like exhausted tired. And it doesn't matter if I sleep during the day or anything, I cannot sleep at night. And if I do sleep at night, I will wake up like 4 or 5 times a night. I cannot concentrate on anything. I cannot remember anything. I have the worst memory now. I am sick constantly. I'm sick right now. I'm sick constantly. Like, at least once a month. At least. And that's, like I said, the minimum. What else? Shows you right there. I don't remember what else. But I've been to many doctors about it. And I'm currently still trying to find some help. I found a good doctor, U of L Hospital, that's trying to work with me and help me. We're trying to figure out like what's the main cause of everything and then figure everything out from there. She told me there's something called like post meningitis syndrome or something like that. I went to a sleep doctor, which when I went to the sleep doctor, I told him I had meningitis and that was the start of my sleep problems. And he said, "Are you sure you had meningitis?" I said, "Yes, I lived through it. I know I had meningitis." And he was like, do you know if it was viral or bacterial? And I said, it was bacterial. And he said, "Are you sure? Do you know what that means?" I know you're a doctor. I know you went through lots of school, but I lived it. I know. I had other doctors, like I said, I went to a lot of doctors about it. I had other doctors that would just look at my charts and be like, "Your blood work's fine. You're good." And I'm like, "I'm not good. I'm having all of these problems." I had one doctor tell me that I needed to go to church, and that would solve my problems. And I said, "I'm going to go find a new doctor." So I'm still living with this. I'm hoping to figure something out. I'm probably going to live with this my entire life. But I'm hoping to find solutions to help me a little bit. I just thought I'd share this story with you because I know there's a lot of people that don't know this about me. And maybe some people have gone through this and have similar experiences. But yeah, and I just want to share it because it's a huge part of my life. But yeah, that's the story of how I had bacterial meningitis, and so lucky to be alive right now. Like this video if you like storytime videos. Comment anything related, comment anything that you've had to go through that was really tough. Subscribe to my channel because I'm putting out a new video every day in December, and I'm going to be doing some really cool videos after that. And I will see you tomorrow.